Here with Twisted Up Brewery. Today I want to talk about our SS Brewtech small glycol chiller. We use this for our pilot system, our one-barrel pilot system. This is the SS033 model. We've had this for a long time. I'm wanting to say it's probably about 8 years old. I don't know exactly how old it is, but it's one of their original chiller units. And I'll say it does the job. It's just okay. It does cycle on and off a lot. It has a smaller reservoir than I would like, but it does get the job done. So we're running it on our SS Brewtech fermenters, and we have 3 fermenters and a bright tank that we're using it on. And I will say we definitely have to walk the temperature down on the things. You can't just like set it to 35 and go. The only issue I think we've ever had with this has been the thermistor. So we've had to replace this before, and we've used a temperature probe in there to check, and this was giving us a false reading, so we replaced pretty much this temperature probe. And that's really the only issue I think we've had with this one. Now when we plumb this in, it is a little goofy here because we put it up on the shelf. We wanted the fermenters to be underneath of it, out of the way, so it looks a little crazy and chaotic up here, but it worked. This would probably work better if it was actually on the ground, but we wanted to have more space, so we did it like this. The hoses definitely shouldn't be anywhere near this, but for heat purposes, but it's a little difficult just the way that we have it here. So for the hoses, these are all half-inch lines that we ran. However, the tank only has, I'm pretty sure it's like a 3/8 input, so we hose clamp it down pretty hard. Actually, we are using half-inch disconnects on these as well, and these work really nice. So you can disconnect this, we can wheel the fermenter over to clean it and everything, so that works out really well. I'm pretty happy with that. I bet you're wondering about this rock that's sitting on top of my glycol chiller. So I thought I would take this time to explain that. We have this unit on a shelf, and the way that we routed our glycol lines, it actually wanted to kind of lift the lid on our glycol chiller. So we had to add a little bit of weight on top. So we added this rock on top there just to hold the lid down. So just in case you guys were wondering why we had a rock sitting up there, that's why. So here's my final thoughts about this glycol chiller. This glycol chiller is actually a really nice glycol chiller for the advanced home brewer. It's not quite powerful enough to kind of get into the pro brewer category, but as a home brewer, this is the next step. So you're going to start off with plastic bucket fermenters, possibly carboys and other different types of fermentation vessels. Usually at that level, you're kind of just putting it in your basement, and whatever that temperature is, that's what it is. But once you have temperature control, that opens up a whole new world of brewing possibilities. And to get into that, this is what you need. You need some kind of a glycol chiller, some kind of a fermenter that's going to allow you to have that temperature control to take your brew skills to the next level. So that's where this guy comes in. It's nice and compact, and that's what I like the most about it, is its size. It really is a nice compact size. I actually had the plan right from the get-go of putting it on a shelf. So it's really not designed to be used like that. It's actually better if you put it on the floor. But space is always a concern, and I like the idea of being able to push my fermenter under, and I made it work. So you can do up to 4 vessels with it, which is pretty nice. You can do a combination of whatever you want, and it also allows you to get into a bright tank. So with a bright tank, that is the next big step as a home brewer also, is nailing in, dialing in those CO2 skills. So I'm going to do another whole video on CO2 and stuff like that, and how to use a bright tank and how to carbonate. But to keep this video short and about this chiller will allow you to get a bright tank down to enough temperature control so that you can carbonate properly. So this unit did that for me. I was able to run 3 fermenters and a bright tank. Now, if you look on their website, their specs say you can only do 3 one-barrel tanks. But here's the reality. Typically during fermentation, it's not like the chiller's running continuously. It's only going to kick on, let's say that you're maintaining fermentation temperature. So as long as you don't have multiple tanks crashing at the same time and you time it out correctly, you can actually have more tanks on that. So that worked out really well for me. Some of the things that I actually disliked about it, though, was it's an advantage and a disadvantage, and that's the small size, because the glycol chamber or the reservoir that holds the glycol isn't quite big enough. I mean, it's okay. It does okay, but what happens is there's not enough buffering in there. So once you got the tank starting to feed back into it, it's like constantly kicking on and constantly running, which it's a little loud, a little noisy, things like that. But that's just some of the suffering that you're going to have to go through to have a glycol system like that. You're going to have a little bit of excess noise and stuff like that. So overall, though, this is a great little unit if you're trying to up your homebrew skills. So I hope this video helps you out. Please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to our channel for future brewing videos.